I'm Ross the Boss, and horns up, baby, the best.
We're here at Knitting Factory, live and loud with Ross the Boss from Manowar, the Dictators, Manitobas, Death Dealer. I mean, how many bands have you done so
I've been
far?
in a few. I mean, Brain Surgeons, Spinatras, Dictators NYC, Death Dealer. I mean, I've been playing for it's going to be 40 years now.
So where were you and how old were you the first time you picked up the guitar and you're like, this is what I want to do?
Well, 1967, I started playing guitar when I was 13. I'm going to tell you how old I'm 60 years old now, so.
It was a bar mitzvah present?
Well, I was saying goodbye to my dad. When I picked up my guitar, my parents were horrified, so I started playing guitar. 1967 was a great year because we had Cream, the Fresh Cream. We had all sorts of great music coming around. I mean, it was just an amazing year for guitar rock. And I don't know, Jimi Hendrix's first record, Are You Experienced? The 1969 first Led Zeppelin record, first Black Sabbath record, changed the world. I mean, so when guitar ruled the world, and of course I started on B.B. King and Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker, Mike Bloomfield, Elvin Bishop. Freddie King, so many great guitar players, Carlos Santana, everyone that played guitar, Mike Bloomfield, everyone that played guitar, I learned their styles. That's how rabid I was to play guitar. And, and the great thing that God gave me was my own style. So Chuck Berry, B.B. King. B.B. King's my idol, so my childhood idol.
What was your actually first guitar and amp? What was your first rig that you owned?
The first big one, the first great one I owned, the guitar I still have is my white SG Custom that I played with in all my bands. 1964 SG Custom, and I had a Standell amp with 810s that I used to drag around the Bronx. Anyone that had a practice, anyone that had a gig, I would just drag it in a cart. I don't know how I did it. I had so much energy. I would do anything to play, and I would still do that.
Yeah, you still,
I will still do that. I will still do that. I think it's important.
And what is the difference between, let's say, somebody who's starting music today versus when you started? Would you say is the soul? You think is the playing? What's lacking today for the new guitar players out there?
You know what? I would hate to say it that most guitar players start in the rock and roll alphabet. We have A to Z. I think the rock and roll, these kids are starting at M, or even farther on, or P. You have to start at A for Albert King. You have to start at A and then B.B. King. You have to start at the very beginning, and to build a foundation of your music. I mean, Eddie Van Halen, God bless his soul. We love him. We love Eddie. He came from where I came from. Eric Clapton, all these guys. Albert King, B.B. King, Eric Clapton. You have to do that. ABC. You have to do that. There's so many great music. Not that you have to play like them, but you have to interpret. You have to recognize as a guitar player or any musician that, Howlin' Wolf, Little Walter, you have to know this music. You have to know the Supremes. You have to know the great rock and roll. You have to know all this music that led up to Black Sabbath. The music, all the music that Tony Iommi, brother Iommi knew, father Iommi, excuse me. That I was talking to Zach Wilde about that on the Metal All-Stars tour. I mean, we're talking about our fathers. We call each other father now, so that's where it's gotten to. Father Joey Belladonna, Father Max Cavalier, Father Zach, Father Ross. So, but that's where you have to start. That's where you have to start, and you don't have to. Listen to that. Of course, there's guys can listen to Korn, listen to all this other music. That's fine. 7-string guitars, whatever you want to do. But you have to realize Chuck Berry came on stage with a guitar and a chord and plugged into the amp and went. I mean, that's where it started. I mean, let's face facts.
So less is more, you would say?
Less is more. My style. I don't use any effects, so I just plug straight in. So I was just changing channels tonight on my amp. I never use effects.
When was the last time you did a whole Manowar set like what you did tonight?
I I did. Well, I have a band. I had my solo band, the Ross the Boss band, the German boys. I had 2 solo records, New Metal Leader 2008 and Hailstorm 2010 on AFM Soul Food. So we did a lot of. Before that, before we got signed to AFM, we did the Manowar thing, the early Manowar, the classic Manowar, the stuff that everyone wants to hear, the only stuff that everyone wants to hear. So
what would you be doing with Manowar if you were still in the band nowadays?
if I was still in Manowar, man, I was asked to leave in 1988, and I don't know how I would have existed. I don't think I could have. I mean, I was a full partner with Joey. Joey and I started the band, but I don't think it would have been. I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it. Joey was, God bless him, great talented man, but I just couldn't get along. I'm too much of a street punk guy, a New York City guy. I have my roots in punk rock and garage rock and blues and stuff like that and gutter. And Manowar wasn't just like that, you know. And you can tell when I left after those 6 records. I mean, that's what people say. I'm not gonna make a claim to that, but you know.
So what was the main reason why you left the band? Was there a lot of fighting in the
Joey asked me to leave.
But why?
Well, I think he wanted full control of the band. I think he wanted I live in New York City, so I live in Queens now. I grew up in the Bronx, and they live in Auburn. They live in the western part of the state, and I think he wanted the complete control, of everything. As you see, as you see the band now, no one says anything. It's like, but having me in the band, I'm not about to be led by the nose. I'm not about to be led by the nose. I'm not to be told what to do. So I think he needed that thing. He didn't. He made the decision.
But what was going on behind the scenes for that to happen? Because you both started the band together,
that's
so
right.
that's.
I mean, and I had the first record contract. I mean, I think the thing what happened was just that he wanted complete control. I mean, he wanted of the purse strings, of the thing. If he wanted to buy 32 15-inch speakers, you're going to buy 32-inch speakers. I mean, listen, whatever it was back then, it was. And I left my legacy with those 6 records, the formation of power metal. And it stands today, and no one has topped it, and they haven't topped it, and no one will top it. So, I'm happy. I'm happy doing what I do anyway. I'm busier than ever. I'm touring with the Dictators constantly, 100 shows, Metal All Stars. The Death Dealer is the Death Dealer is doing great. So I'm busy. I'm more happy now than I've ever been.
No, you look great, man. And what do you have to say about the whole theme, the whole politics around the time that everybody was like saying, "Hey, Manowar is such a sexist band. Like women were like, yeah, everybody was, women were very turned out by your lyrics."
I can't disagree with that because when you put out stuff like Pleasure Slave and Women Be My Slave, that's one of the worst songs that's ever been written, and that completely disgusted me about it. I mean, I was totally disgusted with something like that. I mean, to me, the music was good, but the lyrics, to me, that was one of the songs that drove me out of the band. I thought that was there's some stuff you just can't get to. I mean, I couldn't get to that, All the other songs were fine. No problem. But that one...
Is that you kind of started getting turned up from what was going on?
No, I mean, listen, it's like a marriage. When you marry together, people, it's a natural thing. We separate. I mean, we kind of separate, Joey and I. We were like the Lennon and McCartney of rock and roll, of heavy metal. We did 6 records in 6 years, and then they've done whatever, every record, a new record every 5 years or 6 years or something like that. So what does that tell you?
Every time we try to carry on.